So it's I think now 4 o'clock. I think we are past 40 minutes.
Yes, and I have only done two questions. There are so many questions that are still remaining, so I'll just
See,
ask
you
few
sorry, you
questions.
You
invited teachers, okay,
teachers,
who speaks a
exactly.
lot. Okay, so you cannot expect us to,
I think you have to do a good video editing. Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the fifth episode of the Architectural Trap Faraway sessions, and this is the second part of that episode. In the last episode, we had a good understanding of what it means to be a young professor in today's scenario, and what are the problems that they will probably face and all. But today we'll be dwelling a little bit deeper into the whole career of being a young professor, and whether or not as an architectural graduate teaching is something that you might want to look up to. And also for people who are thinking of pursuing architecture, we will be talking about whether or not architecture is for everyone, and whether you should be looking to pursue architecture in the future. So having said that, if you haven't seen part 1 of this episode, it should be here or here, somewhere around here in a card. And without much further ado, let's get into the episode.
There's this term called archi slavery, where there's a low paid or free internships and very low starting salaries. Is becoming a professor a better financial and stable option? Is it
Well,
better?
sorry. I'll ask you in that manner, because there is a really huge shortage in teaching profession. That's true, but you know, don't become a teacher to make fool out of
yeah,
yourself.
exactly.
So until unless you have a good grip on certain things, do not do not just try to step onto teaching.
Money, if you really
Right.
wanted to earn money, you would never get into architecture. That's what I feel. And also, I feel like, if something, because your whole motive is not there, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just because your focus is like पैसा कमाना है तो
Uh,
इसीलिए करना है, like
See,
for
for me,
example.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'll give you, like, I always used to love concepts of design. I always myself, even though when I was practicing, I was feeling like, okay, I'm doing this design, but there should be something which is different. Even though I'm working on a plot size of maybe 1500 square feet, okay. Even if I'm working on a plot size of 1000 or 1 lakh square feet, that is fine. But working on a plot size of 1500 square feet and generating certain concepts, if that is the kind of retrofitted building, and there comes certain more challenges. So I was always into concepts and things like that. But when I came into academics, I felt like, okay, I can see 10 concepts at the same time. Even today I was thinking, like let's say I want to create a prototype interior design which is a very modular and can be shifted makeshift for this kind of situation. Like, let's say you are living in an apartment in one room, or maybe in a couple of rooms, and then you want to make shift your arrangements and shift to a certain other place, and keeping all those things in a very modular manner. If I ask my students to design, I might turn up with 20-30 designs. Out of them maybe 10 or 15 can be really nice and executable. So that's the challenge when you are dealing with all these 15 or 20 thoughts parallelly, simultaneously, trying to understand, guide them, is what, as a teacher, you need. You need to
Right.
drench out.
But I'll only interrupt by saying that what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but it's also in a very utopian situation where we look at the current scenario where the starting salaries are not that. When we look at certain cities and the starting salaries that they're opting for, a lot of people are actually looking to become professors from if you look at the statistics, just because it's not affordable for them. A lot of people can't afford to live in cities apart where they don't have their family supporting them, given the amount of starting salaries that we have in a
See,
certain
I
cities,
think
certain
in
firms.
terms of salary, if you talk about just passing B Arch, I think NITs give one of the nice, handsome salaries for faculty members. I think in that case, the starting salary for a BR pass out student is very low. They have to shift their city until unless they are living in that particular city. It's not that high either. And regarding the profession, and just getting directly to the architectural uh, teachership, or being a assistant teacher, however you, I mean, name it. I feel you need to know certain things, like just getting a BArch degree. And if you have spent your time, in most of the time, not even trying to get the good grip about what you need to know, and then jumping onto the profession where you need to teach 40 more people, you are going to ruin the future of our nation, maybe.
You know, the thing is, I feel obviously the scenario for me taking up teaching was a different thing, uh, but I had my stuff ready, like, and I had done my masters and I had written research
Yep.
papers and stuff. So it was nothing new for me, like, because it was just an extension, like, it was just like I was already in that kind of field, so it was not a big change for me, like, it was obviously like the whole creating the whole facade and all that, all like that is a different scene. But like, it was not a big jump for me because I was doing I just had passed out from my masters, and doing masters in abroad is different because it's not like
Yes.
India where you have to give exams. You have to write a
Yes.
lot of papers, you have to read a lot of books, so it was just an extension of it. But that is what I feel like money, because when I was applying for Jadavpur also, I did not know how much I was getting paid also, like, it was not
Absolutely.
like I had no clue about what salary I was going to get, but
Yeah,
I knew
that
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 it was going to
happened
be
to me
secure.
also. Like when I
Yeah, it's
joined
government
NIT, it
job.
like after 3 or 4 months, I could figure out like whatever money I'm gonna get out of
Yeah,
it.
and the thing
Yeah,
for
and
me, like, the thing is, when I passed out from Jadavpur, and if I was I think you should I think money follows, like, you money should
Absolutely.
not be the only focus, because if I really wanted to focus on money and all, I think I would have worked in the cities, like I would have gone to maybe Delhi, or I stayed in Calcutta itself,
Yes.
but I went the reverse. I came to Sikkim, like, I was working in Gangtok, where my first salary was 10,000 rupees, and like, I have just undergrad, and my friends were earning in Delhi like almost more than double than me,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I was like
Absolutely.
it's okay, because I just wanted to learn, like I told you, I was very interested in this whole how people do construction in these contours, and what this whole pitch roof, and so there's so many things to learn. So that is
Yes.
the reason why I took a jump and I came back, like, imagine living in 10,000
I
rupees is like a,
I'll just interrupt again. Something that
yeah.
has come up earlier also while we were discussing something in some other topic. But when we are talking of some university like Jadavpur University, where you're paying 5 odd thousand rupees for a semester, it still works. When you talk
Mm.
about certain universities, private universities, you're actually some people actually end up taking a loan to study
Mm-hmm.
architecture,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you go out and then you well,
Yeah.
like so you say that you wanted to learn, but I'll say that
I will
a lot of
interrupt
us are
you here.
privileged
We
to
have
Okay.
an answer. Tell you
Sorry.
something.
Yeah,
You have
Abhigyan.
to understand that there's always a give and then a take. So if you expect
Absolutely.
that you know that the city you're currently living in, where the fee of what you do is not that high, and yet you stick to stay to that particular city. You can't have both. Now you can't have the cake as well as the icing. You need to give some
Well,
place to get.
I'll just add up to this. Again, that's what I feel from my practical experience. I started up doing my practice where I did a lot of free jobs. I had to.
Oh, obviously,
Let's say,
man.
let's say,
I have
let's
still
say it
not
in
got
that way
paid.
that I
Yeah.
didn't get paid. I
Yeah, I
cannot
haven't
run
got
behind them. I
paid.
cannot
Yeah.
run behind them, and
Yeah.
I can ask them like, I'll sue you in the court. They
Yeah.
will be like, they will be with their every language like, who are you? So
Exactly.
you have to just let it go. So that's kind of the situation. So let's be practical. So you
Yeah.
are under a very big umbrella and you are expecting that you are gonna get a good pay, you are going to live a lavish life.
Yeah.
First, you have to go through that hardship.
Like, it's like stepwise, you just cannot jump, like, come on,
Yep.
man, like that's what I say, so people when they do internship, like this is the one of the reasons why I tell the students to work after your undergrads, because after your undergrads you are the एक office ka pyramid mein you're the lowest,
Lowest. Yes,
you know
absolutely.
so you have to deal with all the shit, so I think
Yes.
that not only helps you grow in your profession, but it, like, as a human being also, you become more humble, the
Yes.
humility, because your seniors are telling you to go make coffee, your seniors are telling you, giving you the crappiest job, like making you do all this crappiest stuff, and you do it, and I think, so when you are in the top of the pyramid and you realize you know how to talk to the peon in the office, you know how to talk to an intern, you know how to deal with the client. I mean, I think this is the whole growing part, and I think that's the reason why I suggest every time, whenever anyone comes with me, comes to me to ask, should I do masters or work, I always tell them work. at least work for
Yeah,
two
same,
years,
same, same for
Yeah,
me.
do
I
work for
always
two
ask
years.
them to work. You
Mm.
know that when I was there, I was speaking about my intern days. For the first 1 month or maybe 40 days around, I used to walk to my office. I had
Mm.
to change three BTS there, that
Yeah,
rapid
yeah, yeah,
transit
yeah,
system.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to kind of change 2 to 3 BTS. So I
But
used
it's
to
so
walk.
good, yeah. Thailand is like
Yes,
amazing.
yes,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fine. So I used to enjoy the streets. I used to see people, and
Yeah.
at the same time, I used to reach my office. But yes, I wanted to save some money because when I'm joining as an intern, I didn't
Mm.
used to get good amount of money. So it was about 30 or 40 days later. They were working on some project in Qatar, and they asked me like, "Do you want to be?" They used to have some kind of intra office.
Mm.
I mean competition for actually bidding in the competition. So they used to make certain teams, and I said like, okay, fine, I can be a part of the team. And then like I spoke about certain philosophies for the Indo-Sasanic architecture, and then like they kind of liked it, and they kind of took me in the concept team. And after that, they hiked my intern salary as well. I mean the
Mm.
stipend or
Yeah,
whatever you
it's
call it.
it's
You
a
have to
it's a
prove
process.
yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Until and unless you
absolutely.
prove yourself, you can't really expect that they are going to pay you the salary of Frank Lloyd Wright. I mean, come
Yeah,
on, you have just passed out. You can't
yeah.
really
Right.
expect everything to
Yeah,
come to
I
you.
imagine for 10,000 I worked for so long, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
then
true.
And
fire. And
right.
then yeah, I think it's a
And
process,
to be
like
very
you need
honest, I
to.
don't think either the three of us, regret the time that we worked with, very meager salaries.
Yes,
Because
yes,
we
absolutely.
learned so much during that point of time, which is actually helping us to, impart this kind of knowledge that we have right now.
That's true. That's true.
Right. I
Because I
think
remember, 10,000 is there, but what I used to do was, obviously, I think it's how you do networking. So you meet few people and you get small projects, ghar ka
Yeah,
kuch renovation, yeah,
yeah,
something,
yeah.
something. So your extra bucks, I mean, come on, man. Like I was getting 10,000 every month, but I was getting side projects so much, so it was enough, for me to
I
sustain.
put it,
Yeah.
I always put it in a very different manner. Like, let's say, there are two parts of your meal. One is which is a regular meal which you
Yeah,
eat daily, and
yeah,
there is
uh,
some fancy meal which you crave for certain times.
yeah,
So like there is something rice and dal, which is, or maybe roti and dal, which is like you can eat on an everyday basis. Upon that, vegetables is something which is more required, additional
right.
feature. And some non-veg is some kind of luxury into your meal.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not necessary always that you are thinking about the
yeah.
luxurious part only. So
Uh,
think about the basic part.
so there's this phrase that whenever you think of an architect, you think gray hair. And in your case, have you ever faced that kind of discrimination where you, like you said, you guys were a bridge,
Yes,
so you
I
I
could
faced
have
not
that.
faced.
actually,
I
you
have faced.
wanted to do something and you couldn't do it.
In my case, when I was applying for that firm which was in Thailand, training is the first time when you go out of your cocoon. That's the
Right.
that's the first time. So I always wanted to go out of India and work. And in India, whoever you can think is all about the gray hair, and they will speak something very strict. Because before that I used to come back to Kolkata, and I used to do some small summer internship and all those things. So I always used to face those senior persons and etc. The firm which I was working in is the number one in Thailand, has been really doing good in top Asian firms. As I said, they were in collaboration with firms in UK as well, and their average age were something around 33. So there were guys who were
More in
28, 29, having
No,
Ducati
so no.
BMWs.
Mine is
That's
my
also
case
there.
is different, because I was working in when I came back from no. So this has happened before also, but the most recent cases are like I was working in Kalimpong. Okay, I had my own small office, and so Kalimpong is a very small place, and it's word of
I
mouth.
have a
So
project over
yeah, so they call, they call. I mean, the clients call and they say that, oh, I got your number from so and so, and all like, can you come to the site? And yeah, so when you meet the next day, they are shocked to see me.
there. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're
that has
like,
happened.
okay, like, I
Yeah.
mean, they're like, how can such a young girl, I mean, be an architect,
Yes,
then
yes, yes.
when you like, so it takes some time to convince them. I think, once you start talking and all. And also the thing is, when you go for site visit, and especially when you go for site visit and you meet the mysteries, like, you meet the head mystery or whatever, and they're not ready to take orders from you. Come on, man. Like, they are like, oh, firstly I am so young, okay, secondly I'm a girl, okay, and I'm giving orders to them. And so so you feel like, then it's just funny. And then I think, I don't know about others, but I can be very very rude and straightforward at times, so I just talk to them like, just get me a pen and paper and I'll explain to you, because they'll be like, eh, nahi hoga, like, it's not happening, gonna happen,
I know
because
this
mm,
this for 20, 30 years.
yeah,
Yes, and
So,
so
you.
yeah,
as
I
in,
this
guess
is
the same
Professor,
thing actually kind of happened with me as well, but it was like, just when I had, like, passed out and stuff like that, and I was working under this person, like, at I went to the site, and there was this typical design that my mentor had designed. The person I was working under, he had designed, and I was going there to just check whether everything is fine or not. So I saw that the labor had actually messed everything up, and I was trying to be polite, because of course even he has been working in his own field, as he's a senior in that respect. Even though he's a labor, he's a senior. So I was trying to give him the respect of, okay, fine, just make these corrections and everything. So I was like, I thought it would happen, and then the very next day when I went back once again, and I saw that nothing has been taken care of. Everything is just once again same. And that is when I actually had to think that, okay, you have to prove that you are actually in charge over here. And I had to prove that, and I made sure that he walked whatever he has been instructed to. So I stood over there and made him work of that. So until and unless you actually let them understand who is in charge, you are always going to face that kind of the thing is, okay,
Yeah,
this person
this
is
kind of
not very
situation
good.
happened to me when I was empaneled as an architect for banks. Usually the architects who are working for banks are a little aged people, and
aged,
at least
yeah.
they are at least having an experience of 10, 15 years and all. So
Mm.
I always wanted to go and see like what kind of works are getting done in banks. So I approached one of the major banks. So over there, they told me like there is some competition which is going on about designing that e-lounge kind of thing, that
uh,
e-corner SBI e-lounge. So I said like, okay, can I take a part? Like maybe I will not get paid and etc. So I took participation in that, and they gave me one of the four major sites in Kolkata. So that I mean the three were given to senior architects. I mean the ones major workers, I mean major architects who were getting the consignments for them, and the one was given to me. And
Mm-hmm.
when their head turned up in Kolkata, they asked like, I have seen so many e-corners starting up in many parts of India, and this is really different and nice. Like, who has designed it? So the person who was senior over here, he said like he's a very young guy. So like, okay, it will be nice. Let's take him in our team. So from the time I got myself engaged into projects for banks as well. So
no,
yeah.
as I meant as professors, has it ever happened that you wanted to do something, but then like ma'am was also saying you've been taught by the same people, so you're kind of in a dilemma whether or not you should be saying something,
Yeah,
because as a
obviously.
young professor, there's a lot of
Obviously, come on, man. Yeah.
You
It
always need to
happened.
That is
understand that
always there.
no matter what happens, they are your seniors. So
Yes,
And
you have
absolutely.
to give
and
that
the worst
respect.
part is, no, and the worst part is, okay, so the classes is till 5:30, okay, and sometimes you really have to leave at 5:30, and you just cannot leave the class because the senior teacher is still there, so you yourself are student, like, and I'm like, oh my God, please, fast, 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 I need to get out, like, so so there are times when you feel like, oh, I don't know, I'm in between, like, um
It has also happened that there was this kind of a discussion that my department was having this departmental meeting, and there were a few things which I felt is not actually going to work in the favor of either the students or the teachers, and I was like I was very hesitating whether I should say this,
yeah.
because they're all my, like, they're all very seniors, and should I say this or not? But then I decided, let's just put it there, let's see what happens. And surprisingly, they welcomed my inputs, and it's not that they did not say
But it
that it's
depends.
not correct. They
No,
corrected me as well, but they were
no.
pretty open about me giving my inputs, because like, come on, you are my
Uh,
colleague.
The thing is, for example, supposing there is some function in university and there is class suspension. Okay, but the senior teachers do not go by class suspension. I mean, if you have class, you come to class, and they come to me and they're like, please, can you talk to the senior teacher? Like, can we just get off? And I don't want to, because those teachers taught me as well, I mean, because I'm in a very awkward position. I do not know, like, I cannot take student side, I cannot take teacher side, I don't know what to do, So they come to me and they're like, oh, ma'am, can you just slide in there and just tell, like, tomorrow we have off, and can we just be absent or whatever. And but I do my part. I just go and I tell them. I cannot tell someone to give you off or don't give you off or whatever, but I can just put in the conversation, so I just put it in the conversation that, oh, tomorrow there is class suspension, but if you want to take class you can take class. So I think that, yeah, that way I think they connect that way as well, I think. Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well, I feel MHRD has led certain rules. Like there is a restriction in inbreeding. They call this term as inbreeding. So like if I'm a pass out of the same institute and I'm gonna serve as a faculty member in that particular institute, I have certain rules and regulations to follow. Like I cannot immediately join into that particular institution as a full-time faculty member. Mostly it has to be after a certain period of time where I have gained experience as well as a degree which is from other
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
universities.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
No,
these
because
these
I
are the
think that is
rules
the
and
whole
regulations.
criteria. Yeah.
Yes. The
Because
reason
when I was
is all
applying
because
also,
like
yeah.
the way the university might have been going till now will
Yeah,
keep on,
obviously.
yeah, will keep on running the
So
show.
there is the whole criteria when you apply for job. I think when I applied, the criteria was you need to have worked professionally for 2 years,
Yes, yes.
I think, and I think you need to have got like certain
Master's degree.
grades. Yeah, certain grades. It should be above, I don't know, some percentage, and you need to have. I mean, added bonus would be if you have papers published,
Yes.
nationally or internationally, or whatever. So there are
And
certain
within a
criteria.
certain
It is
time
not, yeah.
stipulation that you are not belonging to this institution.
Yeah,
That
and
is that
also
was
it is
also.
not, and it is not like how they say, like that's, I think that's the reason why people do this part-time teaching. Like
Yes.
once they have passed out, if they want to get into academics, they do not directly get into it because they cannot. There are certain
Yes.
criterias which you
Definitely, yeah.
need to, it's mandatory.
Yes,
So
since
yeah.
this is the podcast, I'll just add to Indranil. See, for this question, like you all asked, like after passing out, taking up a teaching as a profession.
Mhm.
I think there were many candidates who wanted to apply in NIT when we applied as well.
Yeah.
They didn't know, like just after passing out, they started as a part-time teacher, as the agent said. Uh, that doesn't qualify as a professional experience.
Yeah.
So professional experience is something which actually you are walking
Actually
in the field
working, yeah,
under
as an
an
architect. Yeah.
architect, yeah, as an architect, under an architect, or howsoever. So
So
Yeah.
that
how
qualifies as a professional experience.
how do you become a professor? For anyone who wants to be a professor, how do you get into the academic line?
Uh, well, the minimum criteria of getting yourself into degree, I mean, sorry, into assistant professor or something like that in NIT scale is something like you should have a 1 year of experience, professional experience, as I said, which is again should be under an architect. You should not be belonging to the same institute for minimum of 3 years, as in the gap should be there. Having a master's degree, and I think there are like this other preferences, like if you have some published papers
Yeah.
and etc.
Like for
And the
example, in
students, I guess,
Jadavpur,
need
it.
to check up right now. The criteria is also changing. I guess from 2021, they are actually adding PhD or
PhD,
something.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
PhD.
But I think
So
that is not going to happen with architecture yet, because
yeah,
architecture is a different discipline, and yet
yeah, exactly,
PhD
exactly.
is not a
Yeah,
mandatory, which is going
yeah.
to be expected in.
No, and
Yeah.
also the thing is, in so during my case, like I told you, I think we need to the candidates needed to qualify to needed the things, the check boxes were like, you need to have worked professionally for 2 years, you need to have certain
Yes,
grades and journals and all
Yep.
published. So the other thing is, I find it very funny is because for example, okay, like I'm teaching, okay, and then there are certain people, like contemporaries. So you may say they'll be like, oh, like people talk, like, oh, why you are suddenly switched into teaching, and you need an architect, why don't you design, and blah blah blah. And then you feel like I'm doing fine, like thank you, but I'm doing fine, like I mean I am designing as well as teaching, so I'm doing both, I'm getting best of both. And the surprising thing is, after some time, they actually mail you or call you asking, how did you get the job? What do I have to do get to get the job? Like,
yes, true.
like like for example, right now, like people call me and they ask me, oh, I would be very glad if you could uh, I manage in certain way that I get a part-time teaching thing, or can I come and teach for like do a certain seminar or whatever? Because I do not know. I mean, in the like how they say that if it doesn't mean that when you come first in your class, it doesn't mean that you are gonna be a very good architect, and
Yes.
similarly, it doesn't mean that if you're a very poor student that you get into teaching, It's not like that because I
And
think
also
grades
like that
being
you are
yeah.
the topper that you are going to get into teaching. That is also
Yeah,
not
exactly. That
there.
is the thing, because come
And
on,
I
like if you
know
have,
for a fact that it has happened in a few places, and I'm not going to name who and who because
yeah,
this is a podcast. Once again, I'm not. I'm just going to keep it very short. Is that there have been cases that toppers have joined certain places, and they did not actually know how to teach. So basically,
Yeah,
it
that
was
is a
like,
different thing.
yeah,
Absolutely, I agree to
yeah.
this.
So it happens. It happens a
no, no.
lot. Even if you're a good, even if you're a good student, you
One
can't
of my colleague, he kind of says that, I might be a very bad student, but I know how to get that work done.
I just spoke to my one of my friend like just a couple of days back, and he was telling me that, oh, I really want to teach, and like what should I do? And because I don't know, so the thing is, I think it's a very cutthroat competition, to become an architect and
Yes.
to design, because I think the very few people are lucky, very few architects are lucky to get uh, like satisfaction from the job, because for me, like I told you, there are very few projects which I'm really really satisfied, because like I told you, like whatever specialized field I studied in the UK, and I was not able to practice that here. So it gets kind of frustrating, like when you're not able to implement what you studied. But then there
True.
have been certain cases where I have done few projects which I'm really really proud of and happy. So that way it's fine. But and I think like some architects who really do good job, and I really really feel very happy for them that they're getting good night's sleep and they're like feeling very content. But I think major people, like they're working under some architect or under some firm or whatever, and they're so frustrated, like they hate their job. But like it's just the whole scene, like they don't like the job, and because they're not free to do what they want to do, and it's just, and everyone cannot open their own firm, because obviously there are so many factors and criterias which you need to do, and yeah, so
Yeah.
Last question, and I'll complete this. And this is actually one of the questions for people who have not yet joined college, looking towards architecture as one of the fields of joining. So the question is, is there something like a good student, bad student, and is architecture for everyone?
no, architecture is not for everyone. Okay, and there's no such thing as good student, bad student, because I think I think everyone is different. Yeah, you cannot just grade them as good student, bad student. What do you mean by good and bad? Is that even a word? Like, come on, you cannot just tell them you're bad student, good
what
student.
exactly
So
are you asking? Are you asking about the grades, or are you asking about the
yeah, obviously it's
concepts
grades,
the
father.
person actually has in his or her mind? Because those are two different things. You can, somebody can have really good grades, and just because that person studies and mugs up everything maybe. But
No,
then when
I
it
think
comes
no.
to
In the real,
designing,
you being a student, you should know that in your class, there are some students who may be very very good in theory, maths and whatever mechanics and all, but it doesn't mean that they are very good in design,
designing.
because
Yeah,
that's
so
different. That
that's
is
what
different
I wanted
factor.
to talk
Yeah,
about.
that is
So
different.
No,
because
but
like when you
this,
pass your
yeah.
class 12, when you pass your class 12, you are just mugging up certain theories like maybe physics, chemistry, maths, and whatever are basic requirements. And then in most of the cases, many students who turn up in government colleges are those who think like they are going for some entrance in exams.
Yeah.
After that they crack and they get architecture, and they might not be
Mm.
knowing what exactly is architecture. So as compared to the students who are maybe pursuing it in private colleges, I mean, though the numbers have changed subsequently in these years, in our time that was the case. But yes, until and unless you have that knack towards it, I don't think it's very suggested that you should turn up to certain
Actually,
colleges.
I have actually told quite a number of people not to pursue architecture, because people I know, so after class 12, they are clueless, and they're like, oh, I think I wanted to study architecture and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, just be ready for it. Like, just don't take for the sake of doing. For example, I'll tell you what. I was in Jadapur, and I was staying in this hostel, girls' hostel, and there was this one girl who wanted to study architecture because the simple thing was that I think balancing life is very, very important because when I was a student, I mean, I was quite a nerd, but at the same time, I knew how to have fun. Like I used to go watch movies or go out with friends or whatever. Like I used to enjoy quite a bit, and I used to do my studies as well. So my grades were quite good. So so when a third person sees, they feel that it's so easy. Like Uh, oh, she's having fun and she's getting good grades, so it's very easy. So so this person wanted to take architecture, and I actually told like, I don't think so. You should take because you are not ready. But it came out very wrong. Like so that person felt that I was actually trying to sabotage her career, or like telling her like don't study, or like. But it was not that, because I was very genuinely, because there's some things like all these. I think the decisions you make that time is very, very important for your whole future. So I actually persuaded her. I actually told her not to study take architecture, whatever. But that person did not listen and took architecture. And oh my God, it was very tough for her. Like I mean, so like it was very, very tough. Like it
Because
was like
it's kind of
could,
same
could
to me.
not.
Like
Yeah, you can't. That person. Uh, it's very easy to judge someone externally, like
that's what
it's
that's
very
what
easy to pass and
that's what
blah
I
blah,
was
but it
coming
is
to.
not, because every person is different. Like I told you, there's no good student, bad student, because I think balancing is the factor. Like if you balance, you do your stuff and all, it's fine. Like uh, my
and
students also, I
and
never
I
try to make
add
them feel like
something
that.
to that, and I need to add something to that. That would be a lot of people think that if I'm very good at drawing, so I should just go ahead
Yeah,
and join
another.
Yeah,
architecture.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
People think
this is very,
it's
very
just
funny
about
because
drawing. It's like
the thing is,
that
when I
if
came to
you're not
Jadavpur.
creative enough, if you're not
Yeah.
creative enough, if you don't have the interest in how the building whole system works, what exactly the people do in spaces and how those spaces interact with those people, you of course you don't have so much of knowledge about it, but at least if you have the knack or the interest to know about that, only then you should join architecture. And
No, 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 this is wrong because
also,
what I tell you, okay,
just one
I
second, I will
came,
just add something.
yeah.
And you should be, completely ready to forget about sleep for the entire life. If you're ready to, sacrifice sleep for your entire life, only then and then think of joining architecture.
No, the thing I'll tell you, it's very, very funny because when I joined Jadavpur, the first year I came, and as soon as you get to class, they give you sheets, okay, and we have to start like I don't know what subject was that. So they give you sheets and you start like they give you something and you just start doing whatever like and the my classmates, Bapre, like they are like. Some has done art class, some has done painting class, and so everyone was like showing off. They had like, oh, creatively, they can make whatever like beautiful stuff and all. And I was there, like, I mean, I've never even gone to an art class, and I've not done anything. I mean, I know that I have this aptitude for it, obviously, because we had cleared the exams and stuff. But I was so intimidated, like, I was like, oh shit, I think I this is the wrong field I chose, because everyone was like, oh, Bapre, they can like really make very, very pretty drawings, and I felt like so intimidated, and I was feeling like shit. I think I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have come to this class and all. But surprisingly, I realized that it just doesn't give a. It doesn't matter, you you do your work, and you just have to be creative. It doesn't mean that if you can paint a landscape, or you can draw someone's portrait, doesn't mean that you become an architect. Because and it doesn't mean that you have to be like really, really good at all these arty stuff to become an architect. So at that particular class, it was a very, very like, I mean, yeah, obviously we got graded and stuff and all, and yeah, so it just didn't matter, because in the end I was like very, very happy that all these things don't matter. So I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's all right. So yeah, I think that's rightly pointed by Avigan, yeah, that it does you don't need to be a painter or an artist to become an
Or an
architect. Yeah.
artist, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this
Oh my God,
conversation.
finally done. Oh my God, like
This has been one of the longest episodes ever.
And
And
we
yeah,
should
you call three
understand
teachers,
that
man.
the
Yeah.
patience
yeah,
of teachers is also
I'm
very limited. When the students keep on asking questions, our patience, goes, okay, come on, done.